This video discusses the preparation of teaching assistants and learning assistants to teach a recitation-type activity, in this case, the Washington tutorials as used at the University of Colorado, Boulder. The tutorials in introductory physics are a research-based student activity developed by the University of Washington's Physics Education Group. In the tutorials, students work in small groups to complete worksheets based on common student difficulties. It's important to prepare whoever will be facilitating the tutorial sessions in weekly meetings. At CU Boulder, tutorial preparation meetings might include faculty, graduate teaching assistants, or TAs, and undergraduate learning assistants, or LAs. Learning assistants are students who have taken the course in the past who are hired to help facilitate student learning. The Learning Assistant program was first developed at the University of Colorado Boulder in 2001. In addition to the weekly tutorial preparation meetings, learning assistants also attend a weekly pedagogy course, where they learn about theories and methods of student-centered teaching. Thus, the LAs bring a good understanding of teaching and learning. The weekly preparation meetings, on the other hand, help prepare TAs and LAs to teach the specific activity that will be used with students. The first step is to explain just what the tutorials are.
To describe some of their history, to describe that they're based on research around student learning. It really helps to validate the effectiveness of the tutorials.
Each week, all TAs and LAs gather as a group and complete a tutorial pretest to familiarize themselves with the topic. Then they complete the tutorial itself, putting themselves in the role of students. They discuss what the right answer is, as well as what student difficulties are likely to be. You can give them actual student responses to discuss.
I would assume it would unwind while extending.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so, because you have a net torque, which makes it rotate and unwind, and you have a net force, which displaces it.
We try and figure out where we think students will have issues, which parts we think they'll understand more.
What are the major problems? What are the main themes that people seem to be getting wrong or mixing up?
And I'll ask the TAs and LAs to share out about what student ideas they saw. What things should they be watching out for as they go into the tutorial?
If the LA and the TA knows the right answers, that is insufficient for them to really do the best job they can in a tutorial. They need to know what are the difficulties that students are likely to have and what might be some useful avenues to help a student to overcome those difficulties.
So for instance, in mechanics, which I'm teaching right now, there's often a lot of confusion about vectors and scalars and how you deal with things when they're vectors and whether something is positive or negative or how they add. So that can be a real point of confusion that the TAs and LAs hadn't recognized would be such a point of confusion.
If students in the tutorials have a wrong answer, you might prompt the facilitators to help those students think about the implications of that wrong answer.
For instance, in a tutorial a while ago, we were talking about work. And there was a lot of questions over whether when a spring was attached to the wall and the spring was compressed, was the wall force doing any work? I had them think through what would it mean if it did work? What would happen to the total energy of the system? And they would say that total energy would increase. And we'd talk about, but it can't increase.
Additionally, the tutorial preparation sessions can provide an opportunity for LAs and TAs to brainstorm about challenges that they face when facilitating the tutorials.
You know, how are they circulating? Is it better to sit down at the table and listen in to the students, or is it better to hover over the table? Is it better to ask open-ended questions?
If you have both undergraduate LAs and graduate TAs facilitating tutorials, have them attend the same training.
I would recommend don't segregate the LAs and TAs. There is a tendency for them to self-segregate because they live in different worlds. We've had situations where the LAs were at one table and the TAs were at another table, and that's a bad idea. They need to work together, and the LAs ground the TAs in very interesting ways.
For example, the LAs may still have confusion about the content, which the TAs have forgotten about. On the other hand, the LAs typically have more training than TAs in effective pedagogy. At least this is true at CU Boulder, where LAs attend a special pedagogy course.
So on this note, I encourage the faculty members to watch out for what you might call railroading. So this is a phenomenon where there's a table and somebody at the table, probably the grad student, but not always, knows the physics very well. and somebody at the table, maybe in LA, is struggling with the material, and the expert will just say, look, the answer is, the arrow goes that way, and let's move on, because they just think that the object is to get done as fast as possible.
Of course, this behavior can happen among students as well, and so is a good opportunity for you to demonstrate positive facilitation practices. Asking the group if they all agree on their answer and for their reasoning can help clarify that the goal of the tutorials is the reasoning, not the right answer. Overall, a good preparation session will benefit not just your facilitators, but the students and the tutorials themselves. They'll learn more and likely enjoy the experience more. For facilitation tips during the tutorials, see our separate video.